Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Well. Justice should be, across the board. And if we think that this law or regulation or, policy is just or it's there, it should be applied equally for everybody else. So if I do something and I think it's right, then anybody else can do the same thing and still consider it as being right, correct? Correct. Well, after all, imitation is the sincerest form of what? Mediocre can pay to greatness or something like this. Oscar Wilde quote, I think something like that. So, imitating is a sincere form of flattering. That means you should be, yeah, okay, man, you imitated me. I'm okay with that. Well, the problem is we have North Korea imitating the United States of America, and I suspect the United States of America will not like that a bit. Now, do you remember, or at least I remember, I don't know about you guys, because I don't know how old you are or how young you are or how much you paid attention to the events. The first time I heard about preemptive strike was after September 11, attacks on the United States of America. So that's 2001. That was the first time when I heard about that notion of preemptive attack, preemptive strike, which is if I feel that you want to punch me, so if I feel that you are about to punch me in the face, if I determine that based on whatever, I will preemptively destroy you. So imagine with this kind of attitude what problems could be around the world. Like people can think, well, I feel that the government wants to destroy me. Then what are you gonna do? I think the neighbor wants to rape my wife. What will you do? I think these guys will come and meet tomorrow or overnight. What are you going to do? Well, so that's based on your perception, not necessarily communication, my perception. Well, that happened. That was one of the arguments. The United States of America, when I say United States of America, you understand I'm talking about those guys in charge of us. Not those guys in charge of us, the symptom of the ones in charge of us. Because the politicians and their little departments are just a symptom. They are symptoms. They are just the means those guys use to reach their goals. Okay, so it's us, it's the buffer guys, the guys in charge of us, but they are at the orders of someone else, some other interest. So, in Iraq, this was one of the reasons. We have to preemptively strike Iran before Iran uses its weapons of mass destruction they didn't have and to hit us. And they did what they did. They destroyed the country. Children died, civilians died, infrastructure died. But hey, we reconstructed it. We brought freedom and democracy, remember? Okay, so that was garbage. But now we have North Korea saying the same thing to the United States of America. It must be good. It must be good. Why? Because if we consider that being good done to others, then we would agree if others do it unto us. The problem is, if you consider yourself infallible, that means making no mistakes, not guilty of anything, then of course the law doesn't apply to you anymore. But you're not infallible. So let me show you this little article here. This article comes from Sputnik. North Korea reserves the right to launch preemptive strike on the US strategic force in South Korea. Now, North Korea and South Korea, as you know, they share that little peninsula over there, right? And the United States is not nearby. United States territory is across the Pacific Ocean, ignoring Hawaii, okay? It's across the Pacific Ocean, thousands of miles away. This is where the United States resides. Now they come in the neighborhood of North Korea. They arm the South Koreans. With North Koreans and South Koreans, I think they could be friends if they're allowed to deal with one another directly and not through intermediaries and people that have their own goals. At least they would have a better chance of finding a balance I'm talking about. If you eliminate the outside influences that keep them at each other's throat. So the United States has troops in South Korea protecting the South Koreans from the North Koreans, So the North Koreans are supposed to do what? Or we're just going to wait for you to attack us and have your first strike with your nuclear weapons? Why would they do that? Because they know the Americans can do that at any second. So therefore, they say what the Americans said to Iraq. Preemptive strike, we reserve the right. Is that logical? Is it fair? And if not, why not? I tell you, the only reason that can be used, but that reason is not a logical or fair reason or argument, can be used in order to say this, the North Korean reserved right to preemptive strike United States is not fair. Only when we think that we are the good and they are the bad. And people will say, of course we are the good and they are the bad. Okay, well, need a lot of reading, okay? The ones who said that. A lot of reading, a lot of going around the block, you know. That means live life, rub shoulders with people and experience. And then you understand that things are not really like that. If you think that there is one country, aside from Israel, right, and maybe China, who is perfect, then thank you very much. So maybe we have Israel perfect, we have maybe China perfect, according to some friends of mine, and we have United States perfect country. No, maybe Trudeau is also perfect, but Trudeau, remember, he just tries to build guilt on the Canadians with how they call them, I can remember, the Indian tribes and so on, the whatever, nations, something, whatever they want to say it, whatever they want to call themselves. So, nevertheless, North Korea reserves the right to launch a preemptive attack on strategic forces of the United States being transferred to South Korea, North Korean state-run news agency reported Friday. Media reported earlier this week that a U.S. nuclear-capable B-52 bomber, why do you think the bomber is over there? Nuclear, to bomb North Korea, not South Korea or Japan. So isn't that a threat? God damn it is. Landed at the air base in South Korea on Tuesday for the first time since it began training with the Korean Air Force last December. Following the landing, South Korean media reported, citing sources familiar with the matter, that Seoul, I'm going to call it Seoul, Washington and Tokyo will conduct their first joint aerial exercise near the Korean peninsula on October 22. So maybe they attack North Korea so they can preemptively strike these guys, can't they? Unless you think that these guys are the good and they will never do such a thing. And this guarantee you can't give me. I mean, unless we just go, how to call it, full retard mode. Remember that movie? Never go full retard. That was, Tropic Thunder movie with that guy pretending, I can remember, Dewey, whatever his name is, pretending that he's a black guy in the movie. And it's a comedy with Ben Stiller and Tom Cruise, fantastic. Mr. Grossman, watch that video when Tom Cruise dances as Mr. Grossman. Man, my God, it's unbelievable. That's funny as hell. So anyway, over there, when he says, hey, never go full retard. The same here. Don't go full retard on this one. All right? I say, well, we will never attack. You invented the preemptive strike, if I remember correctly. So other people can use it. It's good. But not against us. So anyway, let's go back to these guys here. Following the landing, South Korean media reported citing sources which will include a formation flight with the B-52 escorted fighter jets from the three countries. Oh my God, what would you think? These guys want to attack us. Any U.S. strategic assets deployed in South Korea would become, and I'm quoting, the first target to be destroyed, end quote, the report said, adding that Washington, and I'm quoting, would be well aware that the Korean peninsula is technically at war. It is. They didn't sign any peace agreements, nothing. North Korea also believes that, and I'm quoting, the days had gone when the right to preemptive strike was monopoly of the U.S., the state media reported. Correct. Pyongyang also believes that the joint drills planned on October 22 are according the international nuclear war, provocative moves of the US. Well, or you can say this is love and happiness, isn't it? So, I think the United States garbage in Iraq, yes, in Ukraine emboldened all this, because this is what happened. You create a problem, and then you supposedly come to solve the problem. The problem of the problem is the United States of America either lost control or it goes according to plan. One of the two, right? What other option it is? One, unintended consequences, and that is the formation of the second club. And they did not think that's going to happen because they thought they're going to destroy Russia. But hey, no. So that's plan C right now. What are they going to do? They're going to create another Ukraine wherever they want. Because remember, the common denominator, when you see wars on this planet, most likely, I'm not talking about Tutsis with Lutsis and Titis and all, not those guys. Important wars, like, Ukraine, you're going to have in the Balkans, Serbia, we have in Israel, which is not Israel actually, it's about Iran. You're going to have Armenia, Georgia, over there, the Caucasus War. You're going to have the one in Far East, remember, with the woodchuck and with the Chinese in Taiwan. All those things have one common denominator, the United States of America. And I give you the answer why. Because we, which are not we, are they are in charge of everything in our names. They decided that they are the defenders of good. Why? Because somehow they are the good, which is an imbecilic notion. They can't be the good. Nobody is the good unless you consider yourself a god. And I don't think those idiots that we can see on the TV day and night are gods. They're tards. They're average. Full retard. Remember, don't go full retard. They are over there. And unfortunately, they have the population, most of the population. Why? They voted. And they showed who they are. Most of them. Some of them are just... remember when I tell you about that, what's that called? I, Hero, I think with Will Smith. With those zombies, that's what the population is, in a sleep. And if these guys do something a little bit too noisy, they're going to be like... I made this in 2 or 3 other videos, this representation of our fellow citizens, how they're... That is just eat, fuck, drink, watch TV, work, pay your taxes, and most importantly, shut the fuck up. This is this, okay, as a definition. So most of them are like that, in that state. And they just ingest what these guys are telling them through their mass media, not the politicians' mass media, the guys who are dealing with them, who have the politicians and all these governmental departments in their hands. And the mass media, who owns the mass media? It's a free mass media, really? Well, okay. Who owns it? That's the guy in charge, all right? So nevertheless, my friends, North Korea copies United States of America, imitates. Remember Oscar Wilde? Yeah. Imitation is the purest form of flattery. That in mediocre, I'm not calling North Korea mediocre, but I'm just citing but because if you copy something, it means you can come with something on your own. But hey, sometimes that thing is so perfect, the preemptive strike, that you're going to borrow it and you don't own it. It just is. I remember when I told you about the theory of forms, Plato's theory of forms, the same. It just is. The preemptive strike is over there. Someone uses it, borrows it, adjusts it according to his preference, but in its absolute form is right there as a form, as Plato said. So we're just here using it. And then now North Korea comes and borrows the ideal, the form of preemptive strike, and is going to use it the way they feel fit. Okay? So it's not the United States that owns the form. The form is owned by being there, exists independently of us. We just use it, borrow it from time to time. We just have to discover it. Anyway, my friends, enough with philosophy. Just go to this. So, do you think North Korea will do something? Right now, since they are blood brothers with the Russians and the Chinese, these guys are on survival mode. So, you could have someone and boom and tralala. And the common denominator is not Russia, is not China, is not Iran, is not Vucic in Serbia, okay, and is not, I don't know, many others that these guys want to point out to. Would point out to whomever they want. They decide who's good and who's bad, like they know everything. And they do, because we have to go full retard mode. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.